Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Therapeutic Madness. I'm your host, Mindy Vincent, and today I have this wonderful guest, and the reason why so far I think she's so wonderful is because the topic we're talking about today is trauma and EMDR, healing from trauma, and Kara's willing to come and share her story and share about her traumas and talk about this and talk about the kind of healing that she's been able to find, and that is so brave.
Thank you.
It's so vulnerable, and I'm really grateful.
Thank you.
Because trauma is it's a big thing. It's very scary. It's hard to talk about, and I think that I know, and the research actually shows too, that healing comes when people are able to relate to someone else who has experienced things like they have and are able to see that others have overcome. And so
that's exactly why I'm here, is just because that's so true. And even if it's just one person, if you can help that one person and help them push just a little bit more and keep fighting through this, then that's worth it. That's worth everything.
Yes. And so, and we're going to tell you about some other really great stuff that she's doing. She's a military wife, and so now she's really involved in mental health stuff for veterans and their families, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a couple programs going for active duty and spouses and veterans. And
we're going to get into that. So without further ado, Kara! That was like my drum roll that should have come first, but whatever.
Now I feel like I'm just like that awkward person that's like,
I know, we need a crowd, or we're going to need sound effects to go.
Yeah. We should have those buttons.
We should see. Oh my gosh.
Buttons.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Because especially, like, so I have a couple buttons. It's funny you say that. I have a couple buttons at home that say, like, there's one that goes, bullshit.
Yeah, you need those buttons.
Yeah, and I have a no whining button. It's all, no whining.
Yeah, I like that one.
I used to have them on my desk when I worked in residential treatment, and I'd push them if people.
I get that one for my kids. The no whining and the bullshit one.
Yes! Works well for
That's
kids,
what I say
adults.
All the time, every second throughout the day. One of those two things, so I definitely need those buttons too.
So funny. So, yeah, we're going to get buttons here, and if we can, we're going to add some sound to that last little bit, because Karen, I believe it's going to look and sound great. So, stay tuned. We'll see if we can make that happen. So, let's get into your story a little bit. So, first of all, just tell us about who you are and, like, who are you, and
I know,
how
like,
did you get here? I literally make everybody in groups answer that question.
Really?
Yeah.
I always, like, I never know where to start, because I'm like, especially when you go into your first time with your therapist, and they're like, okay, so tell me why you're here. And I'm like, where do you want me to start? Because they're like, do you want me to start from, like, ages 2? Should I do the last couple years? Should I do, like, how far back do you want me to start? There's a lot, you know?
Well, I think, you know, let's start at the beginning of your story, really, because since we're going through, like, you know, since your healing's in its process, or is, like, through it, whatever, wherever it's at, we'll find out.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like the best way is to see a timeline of, like, you know, where did trauma start? Like, where did you come from? And, just whatever feels good, Kara.
Okay, so, I was born and raised in Hawaii. On Maui.
What?
It's not as great as you think.
I actually don't think it's that great, because I had island fever as soon as I got there. Because I could look to the end of the thing. I was on Maui, and I was like, oh, the end of the world is just right there. Yep. What the fuck?
Yeah, I love living in the mainland so much more.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you can actually go places. And Hawaii is, like, still pretty outrageously priced, though.
But so when I was...
What island did you say you were on?
Maui.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So when I was growing up there wasn't as much. But, like, every time I go back, it's like, what? This road's here? This building's here? Like, it just keeps growing and growing. And that's what I think is, like, nobody wants the city when they go to vacation on Maui. You know what I mean? They want that islandy, like, tropical getaway feel. And, like, all they're doing is just adding more shit to it. So I feel like it's kind of ruining it.
So that's interesting. I thought Maui was actually pretty dirty.
And it never used to be.
Unless you're on, like, the fancy, if you're on the fancy hotel side, you know, so that's nice and clean and well manicured. But overall, I was just like, I was really disappointed. I feel, not to bag on Hawaii.
No, it's fine.
But, you know, it was the most overpriced, overrated vacation I've ever gone on. And people that know me know I travel a ton. And Hawaii, I'll go back to Hawaii because I want to check out the other islands.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't see myself really ever going to Maui again.
Yeah.
And if the other islands are like that, like the cost and just it's so overrated. It's like there's lots of places I've been to in Mexico, Costa Rica that are just as beautiful or more beautiful than Hawaii.
Yeah.
And there's more to
that's
do.
why it's so overrun now.
Yeah.
So overrun.
And it's lovely, you know. And Hawaii's
It's
lovely.
beautiful.
It's a problem of luxury to be like, yeah, Hawaii was overpriced and overrated,
right.
you know. Yes, I got to go to Hawaii, and I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for that. I had a great time, and I caught a badass fish.
Well, and that's all I can.
I caught it. Yeah, it was nice. So but it was sad because I caught it right out the gate as soon as we go out because I love deep sea fishing, and then my kids didn't get to catch anything, so we didn't get any more bites the rest of the day. And I'm a selfish asshole and have to be the first one to catch a fish.
It's fine. It's like my boys. Like, if they want to wrestle and stuff, so my boys are 2 and 3.
Oh.
If they want to wrestle and play, I'm not gonna let you win.
Yeah.
You know? They don't need to catch the first fish. It's fine.
Yeah, and well, my kids don't love it as much as me. They don't understand. I wait
there.
I wait for every time I get
it
to
was
go.
your fish.
I
It
love
was
it.
your fish.
Yeah. So Hawaii is beautiful if you get the chance to go. Lots of people enjoy it. It's just you better be prepared to be spending a lot of money just for a gallon of milk. So, you were born in Maui.
Oh yeah. See, I get so off topic.
I'm the one who took us
so-
off topic.
Were
I'm
you?
like, I went to Hawaii. That's what I do
remember.
too.
Okay. All right. So we're good. We're both
Yeah.
crazy.
Fine.
So born and raised there until I was 13,
Mm-hmm.
and then my parents divorced.
Are your parents were they from Hawaii too, or?
My dad.
Okay.
So my mom, half my family's in Hawaii, the other half's in Alaska.
What the fuck?
I know. I know. Two
That's
totally opposite
wild.
ends of the spectrum. But
It's so cool though. I want to go to Alaska.
oh god, if you love fishing,
I do, and I
Oh
love
my
moose are my
gosh.
spirit animal, and I love moose. And
why have you not been to Alaska then?
I actually have a cruise booked to Alaska
Okay.
next spring.
Perfect.
My mom
You
and I
have
are
to go
going.
fishing.
We're going on like a 9-day Alaskan cruise next spring.
Halibut fishing in Alaska.
Nice.
We used to get bruises on the inside of our thighs because you put the
For
fishing
the fishing pole. I get that every time I go fishing. Kara, I'm so glad you're here.
I know.
I found one of my spirit animals. So
That's
half
great.
your family lives in Hawaii and half in Alaska.
Mhm.
That's cool as shit. So many
my-
times have you been to Alaska? A lot?
When I was younger, yeah. I would say before my parents got divorced when I was 13, we used to go every couple of years, and then my grandpa would come down and see us every couple of years. But that's all I remember in Alaska is going out to the Kenai River, going fishing for salmon, fishing for halibut, just like before I could even fish, I was the one with the bat. He would just beat the fish. And so whenever I would come home,
Someone unfriended me on Facebook over the beating of the fish that I caught in Hawaii and sent me a nasty message.
what do you expect to do? Like,
I
are you
know, right?
supposed to like
But
I
it's
feel like a
suffocating.
beating or suffocating. Like,
Yes.
I would much rather be like knocked in the head once and be done.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Gosh,
We're gonna
really
piss
bad.
a lot of
Yeah,
people
we
off with
are.
that.
So my parents' divorce, that was a messy and
Mhm.
awful. And then my mom moved to Washington State, and we moved with my mom. And we were
Your
in
dad's
this-
in Hawaii then?
Dad was in Hawaii.
Okay.
My mom actually traded, dropping of a restraining order and getting all of his guns back for my mom getting full custody of me and my sister.
So why was there a restraining order?
My dad attacked my mom. She worked at the hospital and he attacked her there.
Had he ever attacked her before?
Not in public like that.
What, did you grow up though seeing that kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, so I've seen my mom get raped. My dad would beat her and me and my sister.
Oh my gosh.
And he was sexually, mentally, and physically abusive to me. And all to my mom. And I know mentally and physically to my sister. I don't know about sexually. I haven't talked to my sister in 6 years because she's actually an addict.
Mhm.
So that sucks.
Yeah,
It's been
she's
hard.
a person who struggles with addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna back you up.
I told you there's a lot. Like,
She
you have
all-
to, like...
She all goes from I was born in Hawaii, my parents got divorced, and then, but there was all of this trauma that started then.
Mhm.
Because from, time children are born until they're 6,
Yeah.
there's so much developmentally going on then. And even, and then of course beyond 6, there's so much that if you're a part of it shapes and does things to you, you know. So tell me about those, tell me about the abuse and like when that started. Did you see that all of your life? Like,
So I feel like I grew up with two opposite end of the spectrum parents. My mom is absolutely amazing. She is disabled, so I grew up just with, I feel just a very caring parent, and that, you know, you don't ever judge anybody. You don't know what's going on in their life. Always be kind. Always have a whole heart. And then I grew up with my father.
what kind of disability does your mom have?
It's called NMO.
What is
It's
that?
like MS, but a lot worse.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
It's very rare.
how did that in itself impact you as you were growing up, having a mom with disabilities?
So when
that'd be so hard.
it was, but it also made me very proud. And she's the one that made sure that I knew that. You know, just because, so when she had my sister, she was blind and paralyzed after having her. And then after having me, everything was good. And when I think about growing up, I think about my mom going to nursing school, still taking us to soccer practice, still doing all of these things, and she was fine. It's when she has attacks like MS.
And they make her blind and paralyzed?
They can do all sorts of things. It's crazy. That was the
outside of that though, but then she can function.
Yeah, so like
normally.
Growing up, I mean, we would go on hikes together. We would do all sorts of things together, and it wasn't like I knew about it, but I couldn't visually see it, so I didn't really think about it until we moved to Washington after the divorce, and then she was back in her wheelchair, and you know, her legs went out, and seeing that, and seeing all the hard times that she's had to go through and how much stress is in her body, that it literally is like killing herself.
So the stress does impact the illness?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. I was wondering when you said after moving back to Washington. But I would also think that like the trauma
definitely
beforehand too would be such a trigger of stress.
Yeah. So I like growing up, I just remember having two opposite ends of the spectrum parents. Like my mom's wonderful and great, and my dad, like, if just don't piss him off.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to see that. And all of this is what I can remember of my childhood. I don't think my dad hit me until I was 8. I don't think. And the only reason he did is because he was going after my sister, and I put myself in front of that. So I've seen it, but it didn't start happening until I was a little older.
So how old, your sister's how much? She's older than you?
She's 3 years, yeah.
3 years older than you. So you were trying to protect your sister? I know, that's like when I was younger, I used to try to protect, you know, I grew up in an abusive household, and I used to always try to protect my older sister and then my 2 younger brothers. Like, I was willing to do whatever it took for
I've
them
been
to not be
very
hit.
protective of my mom and my sister my whole life. I don't know what it is. Well,
some of us are just born that way. What sign are you?
Scorpio?
You barely know your sign. What's going on over here? You're like,
I don't even know what day it is.
I don't. Neither do I. I actually argued with the lady at the car place earlier. She was like, she told me to bring it in like tomorrow, and I was thinking tomorrow was Saturday, and it was like, well, why? Anyway.
I thought today was Friday, and I was like,
so did I.
Wait, no, I'm gonna go
tell
do that podcast.
Yes, I thought it was Friday too, until that lady was like, no, tomorrow's not Saturday, ma'am, and I was like,
yes,
you're right. It's fucking not. I'm so sorry, you know. So
I do that all the time.
Yeah. So where were we? Look at us getting off.
I know, we're both really
We're
bad
gonna
at
be
this.
terrible. But
Yeah,
we were talking about your mom and the like during the time that they were together, the stress that caused. And, and not to piss your dad off. And I was asking and you said it didn't start until you didn't get hit the first time until you were 8.
Yeah.
So okay, continue from there.
So
it only takes me a second to get back.
I know, you're really good at I couldn't even remember.
I have to walk backwards and
So that's when the physical and sexual abuse began. So I don't know if it happened more than once, but my dad raped me when I was younger, when I was 8. And that's when the hitting began. And then from that point on, I guess that's when everything began. That's when the mental abuse began, sexual abuse, but that was only one time. and then the normal abuse. But
Was he? It's interesting to me to hear that your dad sexually abused you one time, and so did he? How
that's
did that
one
even,
time I
do
can
you
remember.
Okay. But do you remember, like, what if? What led up to it? Did something change in your dad's behavior? Was he under the influence? Like, just one day
So,
he came in your room and...
when I think about it, I've always had this picture in my head of it happening, but I didn't remember it. I just had a picture.
Right.
So I was like, is this a dream? What's going on? And then me and Jamie did EMDR. And we
Jamie
went back.
Diarte, who was on this show before, and she's the most amazing EMDR therapist
Absolutely
ever.
amazing. If you're in the area and
Or
you
not.
want help, or not, like, she's worth the drive. She's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, nowadays we can do EMDR through video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody, and she's
Sorry,
gonna get mad at
Jamie,
me.
if
I
you get
know.
overloaded because of this, but
She's
know,
already
she
yelling
is
at
the
me
greatest.
because I give her phone number to so many military spouses who need help. I'm like, you need to see Jamie. There's literally nobody else is as great as she is. So
She's amazing.
Go see her.
Yeah. So when you were working with Jamie, that's when you even realized that this was even real. You're not the first person I heard that from, though.
Yeah, and
Like, there are many people, I think, that they remember things when they were younger, and they don't know if it's an accurate memory or not.
Yeah.
Right?
So what was happening is when it came to sex, I always am I allowed to talk about it?
Yes.
Is it
We talk
appropriate?
about everything here.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing's off limits
Okay.
here.
It
TMI is your fucking problem.
Okay, cool.
I'm not saying yours. I'm
No.
saying yours.
Yeah, it's their problem.
Not fucking guy.
Yeah.
See, I've already dropped the F like 4 times. Where are
I know,
you
you
with
make
your
me
F
feel
bombs?
better. I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to be appropriate, and I'm like, fuck it, okay.
Yeah, there's no need to be appropriate.
So then, it was more of a feeling that I was battling my entire. I mean, since I started having sex when I was 16, 17, people pleasing with it.
Yeah.
And I never understood it. And then me and my husband have been together for 7 years, and if I feel like that's what he needs, like, okay, yep, I'll do it. But he didn't know that for the longest time. And when I told him that, he was bawling. Like, don't ever just do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like there's everybody's like, oh, you make love. Like, I never felt that connection with anybody.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was wrong to feel what I was feeling. Or not wrong, but that's not the right way.
Yeah. It could be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was talking to Jamie about it, and I was like, my mom's always wondered if I was sexually abused, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
I couldn't 100% be like, this is what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
What made your mom wonder that? Do you know?
how close my dad was always with me. Like, I mean, I slept in their bed until I was like 10. That's not normal to be having your dad spoon you.
Yeah.
You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
No,
it's
but
because
it's
you
serious.
use those words.
Spoon.
It is serious, but then it is. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Nobody is the way you said it. Oh, it's okay. So yeah, that isn't normal for
It's
your
not
dad to spoon
normal.
you at 10. Yes.
It's fine. It's fine. So we just did EMDR and backtracked, and it was, again, Jamie is magic, and I know she's going to be watching this, and I know you're just laughing because I always tell you how magical you are. We even had an appointment today, and I was crying at the end, being like, thank you so much for how much you helped me. Like, I'm always like, you're the best in the world.
She really is, though. And EMDR is so amazing and wonderful, too.
Yeah.
And, like, so we don't want to get the cat out of the bag quite yet, but through doing EMDR, you were able to trace back to that memory.
Trace back to that memory.
And you knew that it was an accurate memory at that point. Because you can feel it, huh?
You can feel it. You can remember. It was like I was watching a movie of it happening.
Yes!
But I felt it.
Yes.
Like, I knew my exact emotions at that time. I knew exactly what I did, and I knew exactly how I reacted.
Yes. And
So-
that's the thing I tell people, well, they teach you to tell people this when you facilitate EMDR, because I facilitate EMDR too. And it is like being on a train, going through a tunnel, watching it on the screen, right? Like a movie. And then, but because you can really feel those emotions today from back then, that is what makes it sometimes difficult for people, and you have to remind people,
like, you're
you know,
still
you've
here.
already been through this and come out the other side. And that's the thing people need to remember about trauma, even though it affects us now. We've all already made it through the hard part, you know, so the emotions are just something you experience. They're not a part of who you are. And so that has helped me through the years to be able to remind myself, like, you know, I'm just experiencing this, you know, because, you know, when it comes in those waves, when you're doing EMDR, and, like, you almost can't catch your breath sometimes because you just cry so hard, you know. I mean, I did, you know, because it just hurt my soul so much that my little, like, this little girl that was me was
it's
hurt. Like, nobody protected me, you know,
that's
and it
exactly
made me cry
how
like
it
a
is.
bitch.
Even with when I'm during therapy, like, Jamie's like, it's okay. You need to ugly cry. You ugly cry.
Yes.
I'm always like, I'm gonna ugly cry right now. I'm so sorry.
That's so funny because I said the same thing. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I've had to see me ugly cry. And my therapist said, you actually don't really ugly cry. I was like, ooh. You know, but, like, it's in those moments knowing that this is something I'm experiencing, but it's also something I've already made it through is something I think that's important for people to know that are considering doing EMDR, because it does end and it ends fast.
It does. It ends super quickly, and even when you're doing it, just having your therapist be like, I'm right here. Don't forget I'm right here. Or, like, you're in the moment.
Yeah.
You're here with me. Like, because it is a lot of feelings that rush back at you, and you are going to ugly cry, and you are going to do all these things, but...
And you can ugly cry. That's okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine to ugly cry. We all do it.
Yeah.
But...
It's a lot of healing.
It is.
It's a lot of soul healing when we get more into, like, about the EMDR part. Like, that's a lot to get out in, like, this super short period of time. You know, one session, you get a shitload out.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. But it's hard and it hurts. But being able to allow yourself to get there and allow yourself to feel that again for just a minute, to have 1,000 pounds off of you for the rest of your life.
Right? Do you get? Okay, we're gonna get back to this, but don't let me forget to ask you about if you get side effects.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
I told her not to let me forget about something. So anyway, through the EMDR, you find out that sexual abuse really did happen with your dad, and I'm curious what you think. I want to stay, like, kind of on the timeline, but at the same time, I'm wondering, like, what is your relationship like with your dad at the time you started doing this, and did it affect it? Did you have a relationship with your dad?
When I was 8?
When you found out that, when you realized he had sexual abuse, you talk to him now?
I haven't talked to my dad since I was 14.
Wow. Okay, so that answers that. So let's get back to, so, you know, things change with your dad. The physical abuse starts. You had already seen, though, him abusing your mom before then?
Yeah.
What was it like for you as a little kid?
Normal.
It just was something you grew up thinking, like, moms just get their asses kicked?
When we moved to Washington, and I remember I had this small group of friends, and they were so great. And I remember going to their houses and seeing their mom and dad, and, you know, and everybody's just happy. I remember going home and being like, that's so weird. Like, it's weird, but, like, I want it.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I had that, but that's not normal.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because, like, as you're saying that, I'm thinking about, you know, I mean, I grew up in a dysfunctional, I think most people grow up in dysfunctional houses,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
But I remember thinking when I was a little kid, you know, because I was physically abused really bad, and, like, thinking, gosh, you know, that, and my mom left when I was little, so I didn't have a mom. I lived with a single dad, and I thought, gosh, it'd be nice to have, like, a mom, you know, or it'd be nice to not be afraid to go home, you know. But then also, a lot of kids, you know, like, that was kind of I mean, I was abused, right? Yeah. But there's also, like, it was more normal to even smack kids around back then.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what you did. You got your ass kicked, but not the way that I got my ass kicked.
Exactly.
Still,
there's a difference in, like, getting your ass kicked by your parent and getting beaten the shit out of by your parent.
Right. But I remember also thinking, like, there's something wrong with them, like, that family, you know. Right? It's like, they're not real. It was like they were like the Cleavers or something. It's like,
you guys are way too perfect.
Yeah, and it must be, there's something wrong with you, because, you know, more people are like me, and it's normal for these kind of things to go on. So, yeah, so it was just normal to you, and you thought, you know, mom's just Could you feel, like, so this is one of the things I think about, could you feel, you know how the energy shifts when, like, abuse is going to happen?
Absolutely.
Could you, like, as a little kid feel, like, when
Yeah.
dad was getting mad and you feel like walking on eggshells and shit?
Always.
That's
Always.
horrible. How do you think that impacted you?
I think that's where a lot of my anxiety comes today.
Yeah.
As
soon as you said that, I could, like, feel anxiety in my little soul.
Yeah, I know, me too. Like, it's starting to happen, and I just think it's, I'm working through it, and
Yeah.
I've worked through a lot of it already. But there's a lot of weird kinks that I have because of that. And I didn't realize how many kinks I have because of that one instance that happened.
Yeah.
And then small things that keep happening that aren't big deals,
Right.
but it's, what is it?
Reinforces it.
Feels like, seems like, must
Yes,
be like.
must be like, yeah.
Boom, locks it to that.
Feels like, seems like, must be like. And I'm sure we'll bring that up again. But that's how trauma works, right? So something happens to us today that feels like, seems like, must be. Right? That's what our brain says. So it feels like something we've experienced before. And to our brain, it files them together. So it's kind of like dominoes. It goes, and then back comes a traumatic reaction to something that seems like
that's
kind
not
of
even,
small.
Yeah, that wouldn't normally be a big idea, and you don't even think about it when it's happening.
Yes.
Your brain just clicks it.
Yeah. Yep. And it does. And it feels like in the moment, like, it feels really justified. But then also at the same time, there's been times when I've been trauma triggered. And I know that it's like, it feels like a thinking error inside of me. Because I know that I'm overreacting, but I still feel like kind of justified or validated in doing so because of the emotional response. Which that in itself, that's a thinking error, right? Like, just because I feel emotion out of control doesn't mean I get to get out of control.
Yeah.
But when you have trauma, sometimes you can't help it. You know?
That happened with my husband the other night. Something so small, I blew up. And I was freaking out, and neither of us knew why. And I sat in a room, and I'm like, okay, I just made myself breathe. And I was like, what's happening? What's really happening? Because I should not be freaking out like this.
Yeah.
Feels like, seems like, must be like. Linked it back to my dad. And today, actually, during therapy with Jamie, I had it at noon.
Yeah.
I'm
so glad you made it here.
I know.
I
don't know.
For coming. It is like when I do EMDR, I seriously,
there's like a recovery.
I'm so tired. Yeah, I'm tired for like a couple of days. It affects like my road biking. It affects my physical activities.
It does.
Because I'm so exhausted because so much comes out, you know. But
I know. When I told Jamie about that, she was like, I was like, I don't know if I want to do EMDR with the podcast today. And she was like, do you want to get through it? And I'm like, yes.
You're like, good point.
I know. I was like, okay, let's do it.
Plus, as we'll talk about, like, by the end of a session of EMDR, you get such a great amount of relief. Like, when I'm halfway through a session of EMDR, of my own EMDR, it makes me get headaches.
Yeah.
I can feel the physical release. That's what I was trying to remind me earlier.
It makes me feel like,
you get that?
I get like a tingling through my entire body, and I feel
good tingles or bad tingles?
Good tingles.
Okay, good.
And then it just feels like I'm, this is going to sound really weird.
No, it doesn't.
It just feels like I'm floating, like nothing is weighing me.
Yes, it feels lighter.
It does.
Because the body remembers trauma too. So the body holds so much trauma in, and I'm actually really interested in like looking into how, like, what kind of things you can do to help push that energy. When, right, you know how after you've done EMDR you feel it lift, and I'm just wondering if like there's something you could do to help dissipate that energy further out of the body faster. You know, like in conjunction, mind and body kind of work.
That's awesome.
I love that. I'm gonna talk to my friend Laura Romney about that. Who is gonna be on the show again soon about mind body bridging, and I'm wondering if she. Anyway, yeah. See,
we're on like
we're like the same person. We are.
Yeah, I love it.
So great. Well, Jamie, thanks for bringing Kara into my life. So I know I'm so happy too, and I hope you don't feel nervous anymore.
No, I don't. I don't. Yeah, I'm good.
And actually, with that, it's time for us to take a really quick break. So that's a perfect place to take it. We're going to take our break, and then we'll be right back, and we'll get back into the story, and we'll see you in just a minute. Hello, and welcome back to this episode of Therapeutic Madness. I'm still your host, and I'm still Mindy Vincent. And this is still my wonderful guest, Kara, who I'm just loving more and more every single moment. I'm so glad that you're here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm really grateful for what you've already shared so far with your story and your willingness and vulnerability. I really can't thank you enough for it because, and there's going to be people who hear this podcast that can't thank you enough for it because healing yourself is the best thing you will ever do for yourself. And it is so scary for me. It's still, you know, like if I didn't know what waits for me on the other side of healing, because I've been forced into it so many times. I've been to treatment 5 times. So, and one of the times I was in treatment, my therapist told me, you know, you have today to go in there and tell your group that you don't trust him and tell him why, or you can pack your shit and get the fuck out and go to prison where you belong.
God.
And I was like, and I actually had to think about that for a second, you know, because it's that scary sometimes to confront trauma. And it was scary to have to go in and tell these people, you know, I don't trust you because if I'm vulnerable, that makes me weak, and then you could hurt me.
You're gonna hurt me,
and I'm not gonna let people hurt me
I did this
ever
for
again.
a long time.
Yeah, and also like, and we're gonna get into like the negative cognitive belief that comes with, and then also once you find out your negative cognitive belief, you can also find your self-defeating behavior, and you can see how those are linked, and we'll get into that too.
It's crazy seeing how everything is linked together piece by piece.
It's wild, huh? But then you see how things get built, and that's why I tell people, don't try to garner compassion for the behavior, garner compassion for what's driving the behavior. Because when you hear someone's story, when you hear about, well, the reason why I ran away from you is because I'm too afraid to be hurt because this, and this all happened to me. You know, and it's sometimes just too scary to feel like taking an emotional risk. But when we share with people our pains and we show people how we overcome, it helps other people see that they can do the same. And then chains get broken, cycles get broken, and healing processes happen. And it's so worth the pain of healing because you've already gone through the pain of the incidences, you know, and that's the most painful part.
Yeah. The whole reason I started EMDR is because I don't want to pass my trauma onto my kids.
Have you ever heard Dr. Mate? He says that exact thing. He talks about passing trauma. We're going to talk about that after. I'm in the middle of his training right now. I'm training his compassion inquiry training, which is like a huge deal. So, I mean, to me it is.
Yeah, no, I like it.
So, anyway, and Jamie, she's super stoked. She loves Dr. Mate.
Really?
Yeah, she loves him.
Okay.
So, he's amazing. That's why he's, we'll talk about that after. So, back to, so you're growing up, abuse is just normal in your home.
Yeah.
And so, what do you think, so your dad abused all of you, you, your mom, and your sister. So what do you think was the thing that shifted that made everything change to where you guys left and went to Washington? And was there ever times where you were like, I can't take this, I have to get out of here? Because when I was little, I used to plot with my siblings. I'd be like, all right, that's it, guys. We got to get the fuck out of here, you know? And did you ever feel like that?
I think I did the opposite. So instead of being like, hey, we need to fucking run and go, I was like, keep trying. Maybe he'll love you one day. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get that.
Maybe
you'll be good enough.
More. Maybe you'll be good enough. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that your negative cognitive belief? Yep.
Or
not being enough.
Not being enough and being worthwhile.
Oh, dude. Not being enough
Stop
is
it.
mine.
Oh
my
my
God. Yes. That's mine too, you know, and it's driven like all sorts of behaviors in me to where like I'm more accomplished than most people are. You know, I have a drive that a lot of people don't have. And it's been very good and beneficial in some ways, and at the other, it's like, and then on the other hand, it's just like, there's never going to be enough that makes me feel like I'm enough.
Being perfect is the goal, but it's the goal that you're never going to
attain. Yeah. So it's like,
that's actually like really common in my family. I feel like
we're
all perfectionists.
You, your mom, and your sister, would you say, or who in your family would you say?
I would say me, my mom, my aunts, my grandma, everybody is just perfection, keep going, keep building. But as much as it as much as it probably shouldn't have been pushed as hard as it was, it also made me a really hard worker.
Yeah.
And you appreciate the things that you have.
Yeah.
That's something that my grandpa, he's like my dad.
Your mom's dad?
Well, he's my mom's stepdad, but he's been my grandpa my whole life. He's the one that's been around, and I named my oldest son after him. He's my everything. He's like my father. Crap, where was I going with that? Oh, and he built his company from the ground up.
Yeah.
So there's always just been people in my life and in my family who just keep working hard, type of thing. So that just was instilled in me growing up, I believe.
Well, and then also, like, I mean, what is the alternative? Well, you just throw your hands up and quit.
I mean,
Like, to me, I'm like, you
nowadays,
know,
I feel like that's so
I
easy
feel like
to
it is
do,
too. It's
and
really
not
easy.
happening.
Yeah, it's what a lot of people do, but there's some kind of fight in me that makes
Same.
me go, I will fight you.
It's like the mental health stuff that
Yep.
we were talking about. I'm getting nowhere with a certain amount of people, and I'm like, I'm gonna come in there pissed off
Yeah.
because I'm not stopping. I
Right.
don't care who I don't care who I have to go through. This is going to happen whether you like it or not because
I'm
you
on a
need it.
mission.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And my husband's like, you go from like 0 to feisty real quick, and I'm like,
I'll work on it.
yeah, you knew this when you married me. It's
Right.
fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's part of why you love me.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys are all like in agreement. Like, if we can, you know, maybe if we can just appease Dad, if we can just do enough, then maybe it'll be okay. And then at some point, is it what Mom is like? It's not ever going to change. We got to go.
Mom was working on building up her courage to leave for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was not always so tense, but you know, I do remember those distinct times where, like this one time, this was my first vivid memory of my father. I heard him come home, pulling in the driveway. My sister was on the phone, and I was trying to tell her to get off the phone, get off the phone, get off the phone. Dad's home, and she wouldn't listen to me. And my dad came in, and the house wasn't clean, and he saw my sister on the phone, and he went back there and took the phone and smashed it in her face. That's one of the times that I jumped in front of my sister, and he beat the shit out of me and then tossed me to the wall. And then he beat the shit out of my sister, and then he forced us to clean, and while we were cleaning, he comes over crying, saying he's so sorry and he hates doing that to us, he loves us so much. And then we're crying because we're finally getting that acceptance, like, okay,
Yeah.
he does love us, you know, he's not going to do it.
And then
And then
did
that's
you
the cycle.
apologize too to your
Yeah.
dad? Be like, I'm
I'm
sorry,
so
Dad, that
sorry.
we weren't doing what you wanted
I'm
us
not
to
good
do.
enough.
Yeah.
Never happen again. And then that's the circle of domestic violence. It just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
And then my mom had enough, and it scared the crap out of her, but I know she always apologizes to me, saying, I'm sorry I didn't get out sooner. I'm sorry that I didn't get out sooner. And that, I'm not gonna cry. That breaks my heart, because I know how scary it is, you know?
Yeah.
And the fact that she even got out, like, I'm so proud of you for that.
Dude, how scary would it be to leave domestic violence in fucking Hawaii? I'm not kidding. If you haven't been to Hawaii, and
Yep.
you can literally stand on the beach and you can look either way, you can
Well, my
see
dad's
the
friends-
end of the fucking land, dude.
My dad's friends were the cops, and,
Oh.
and none of our family knew what was happening.
Well, how the hell do you get the hell off an island? Like, that's expensive.
That's why my mom
How do
said
you buy
can
those kind
have-
of tickets without, like, your husband knowing that you just bought these tickets?
She told him you can have the restraining order taken off, and you can have your guns back. I just want custody of my kids.
So was that like the climaxing moment when he came into the hospital where she worked and kicked her ass?
He attacked her in the parking lot, and then she went to the police station. I got a phone call right when I got home. My mom saying, get outside. Her friend was coming to pick me up. Get outside right now, and I hear her crying, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, just get the fuck outside now. So I go outside. Her friend tells me to get in the back, lay on the floor, so nobody can see me. Laid on the floor. My sister was she didn't ride the bus home with me, so we didn't know where she was. I guess my dad already got my sister, and he took her into his friend's house, and when the police got there, she was hiding in the closet. And the police took her and brought her to my mom, and once I saw my mom, I just remember her breaking down, and I just hugged her. And I didn't know what the fuck was happening.
Did you see that she'd been attacked by
No.
your dad?
I guess I didn't really pay attention to it. I was so scared that it was like, Mom's safe, there's Mom, take Mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then she went back into the police station. That's when she got the restraining order and everything like that. And then we lived there for a couple months after. And then, yeah, we moved. And a year after we moved, that's when I stopped talking about it.
So did he try to maintain contact with you after you moved?
He did. But every conversation I had with him was, your mother's a piece of shit. Your mother's the one that fucking took you from me. Your mother's this. Your mother's that. And when we moved to Washington and I saw all these other people with these families, and the happiness, and then I saw my mom happy, and then you see, oh, this isn't normal. Oh my God, he did that to mom? Oh my God, he did that to you? Like, no, that's not okay. And so I went down and visited, I think like twice or something like that. And the last time I went down, my dad hardly saw me. I was staying with my grandparents, and I called him to ask him to take me to the airport, and he was dating this new girl. And it was my last day, and I only saw him like once, maybe. Other than that, I was with my grandparents. And he said that he doesn't have time for that shit. And I hung up the phone, and I was
To take
bawling.
you to the airport?
Take me to the airport and say goodbye to me. So I was bawling. My grandma called him. I have never heard my grandmother cuss in my life until that phone call.
She went off on him?
She went off.
Good
And
for her.
I've never felt, like, as much as I was hurt, I felt that love because someone was protecting me.
Yes.
You know? And then, so that was the last time I saw him, and then when I came home, it was like a couple months of talking, and then there was one phone call where I think I just lived in the mainland long enough. I saw what normal people do. There was one phone call, and he was just talking shit on my mom so hard, and I was so done with listening to that, because that's not who my mom is.
Yeah.
She's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And if all you're gonna do is bitch at me, no.
Well, and that's just not appropriate anyway.
Yeah.
That's not appropriate. Like, if you have something negative to say about the father
other,
or mother
yeah.
of your child, just keep it to yourself, because kids don't ever need to hear that. I
Yeah.
think that sometimes things slip out, you know, even when people are being as conscious as they can, is like, oh, that sounds like your dad, or something like that,
Yeah.
right? But, like, that's not the same as going off, and you should try to avoid any of those things. But if you have
Absolutely.
something negative to say about the other parent, just don't say anything at all, especially not to your kids.
Yeah. And I was on the phone with him, and I just went off on him, and I said, call me when you don't have anything bad to say about my mother. And I hung up.
And you never talked to him since? Holy shit, has he tried to reach out to you or anything?
Once, when I was 18, he wrote me a letter telling me how it was all my mother's fault.
Are you serious?
Fuck that.
Dude.
No.
That's so disappointing, but so heartbreaking.
Also, Mom, I know you're watching, and I apologize for all the cuss words.
Hi, Mom. I apologize that I bring out the cuss words in people. But this is an important topic, and still to this day, not a single soul has been able to tell me why swear words are swear words. So, that's why we continue with them. Because nobody knows. People are like, we just don't like that word. Sounds trashy. Okay, well, that sounds like your problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't swear, like, when I'm publicly speaking or something, but,
Yeah.
you know, like, there's appropriate times for swearing.
Yeah.
When you're talking about serious issues, like, sometimes the word freaking dang doesn't do it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we need to drop F-bombs up in this bitch. Plus, up in this bitch always sounds great. Like, let's be honest,
You're my
right?
favorite.
Can you imagine doing therapy with me? I really do talk like that with my clients.
I feel great
So,
about it.
Yeah, like people who are really stuffy and stuff, they're not good candidates
No.
for me. They don't have a good sense of humor, they're not either. So.
Yeah. Yep. I feel
Because
good about
also humor is one of the best coping mechanisms you can have.
Oh, yeah, it's a serious problem.
Yeah, people don't have enough humor in their lives, and there's research and studies, because when I was in treatment, they used to say I used humor to deflect, but really I used humor to process things.
That's
and
how
to be
I
able
do
to not
too.
lose my shit. And I found that, you know, there was all sorts of research showing that, like, children with cancer that have good sense of humor overcome cancer more and are just healthy all around.
Dang.
Yeah, humor's really good for you. Laughter is good medicine.
Well, then I'm going to live till like I'm 100, and
Me too.
my husband, you should thank me. Like, I'm extending your life because I'm hilarious.
Tell him you're welcome.
Welcome.
Also,
He's going to watch this and be like, oh my God.
laughing
Jesus.
100 times a day is an equal cardiovascular workout to 10 minutes of rowing. I read that once a long time
What?
ago. Yeah, and I'm going to stick with it because, I mean, I read it it was a good source, you know.
Okay.
But it was 20 years ago because I'm getting old now, so.
I'm like an 80-year-old lady, I swear to God.
Deep inside, huh?
Yeah.
But we'll be 80-year-old ladies
Sad.
with tattoos.
Yeah,
Look
we
how
will.
cool me and her look sitting up here together.
We're so colorful. I love
We
it.
are.
Yeah.
I love the a color sleeve, and this is Japanese, right? Isn't this like Japanese style? Or am I
no,
insane?
No. But it
It's
needs to get
pretty.
finished. I kept getting pregnant. So I couldn't finish it.
But now's the
Now I'm
time.
gonna finish it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys moved to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
You're living with mom, and you realize like this isn't normal.
Yeah.
But was your mom significantly more happy? Did things just like feel more safe and stable when you got to Washington? What part of Washington?
It's this tiny town called Northport.
Where is it at though? Which part of Washington? Because Washington, I thought all of Washington was really pretty, but then I went to this
It's
place
like,
called Wenatchee, and it's like,
oh,
wow,
yeah.
what a shithole.
Yeah, Wenatchee's trash.
Yeah.
It's like up in the boonies, and then I think it's the northeast.
Oh, so it's in the pretty area.
It's like 10 minutes from the Canadian border.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was
I'm
beautiful.
not allowed in Canada, but I hope one day they get to go there.
No.
Have you been?
Yeah.
She's been everywhere cool, right?
No. Mm-mm. Yeah, but it was good there, and I saw the friends that I did make, they played sports. They had really good grades. They were smart. And, you know, when I was in Hawaii, I started doing drugs when I was 8. I started smoking pot. And I was skipping school. I got kicked out of 3 schools for fighting.
Do you think that was a result of the abuse and the trauma that you were experiencing at home?
Slightly, but it was also a problem of racism.
Oh.
I'm Hawaiian and Mexican, but I'm white with blonde hair and blue eyes. And Hawaiians aren't fond of white people.
Yeah.
So it was either get your ass kicked or learn how to fight.
Wow. All right, go on.
So that was, anger was a big problem for me.
Yeah.
And I think this is what I saw at home, you know? So I went from ditching school to go surfing and smoke weed and hang out with boys and do whatever I want to,
Right.
I was like this group of friends, I don't think they know this, and I'm still friends with them on Facebook, but like, they saved me. They really did.
Thank you, friends. Do they surf too?
No. They lived in Washington.
Oh. Oh, the friends in Washington.
the friends
saved you. I
in
thought you had some
Washington.
in Hawaii that saved you.
No.
Bastards.
No, they were all bad influences. But they really did. They helped me get into sports. They helped me with school. I got really good grades. I was doing great, and then that's seeing their families, and then it's like, this is what normal is, and you know, you just kind of start to realize that. And after that, I just started seeing the difference in normal and not normal, and then for my senior project in high school, I did it on domestic violence, and I gave a speech in front of my high school, like, this is what I went through. Here are the signs of domestic violence. This is where you can go to get help. Don't think you're alone. If you want to talk to me, please come talk to me, da 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 da. And there were so many people that I was friends with that came up to me and said, I'm going through that, and I had no idea.
Oh.
And so it was really eye-opening, and it was great. And then graduated, and then I went to cosmetology school. I was a shithead through that entire thing. I was 17 when I did that, and then after I graduated, I started working in salons, and then I met my husband.
And what happened from there? How old were you when you met your husband? How old are you now?
I'm 25.
Okay. So how old were you when you met your husband?
19.
19. Okay.
19. We met on Match.com.
Shout out to Match.
Yeah.
So far.
If he's put up with me for this long, he's good. He's
right.
Good.
Are you guys at the 7-year itch?
We don't have that.
Yeah, are you in year 7 now?
Yeah.
Right.
7.
You're 7. It's the 7-year itch. I really do think if you get to that, it'll be fun.
No, I've heard about the 7-year itch, and we just like this sounds really bad, but like the day I married my husband, I love him so much more, right now.
Oh, that's how it's supposed to be.
We've been through a lot, and a lot is because of my issues that I deal with.
Yeah.
And this, oh damn it, this is gonna make me cry saying this.
Where's our damn tissues? We
I
need
know.
to have tissues on this show. I'll make sure he brings some next time. In the meantime.
He always tells me, like now that we're better and we've been better for a couple years,
Uh-huh.
he always tells me, like I always ask him, like, why didn't you leave me? Like, I was fucking crazy. Why didn't you leave me? Why didn't you leave me? And he's like, because even though, yeah, shit did get bad, he's like, I'm not going to be just another guy to leave you. He's like, I can see who you are, and you're an amazing person.
Oh.
And we're going to get through it. And he tells me all the time, and I'm like, damn it.
That is so sweet. And therapeutic disclaimer. I'm glad that you are seeking the help that you need to get through your trauma, right? Because it's not healthy to like love somebody until they're better. It's not healthy to, you know, if they're not doing stuff to work on themselves, then you're loving a version of somebody who he does too.
We see Jamie separately and for marriage
That
counseling.
is so wonderful. Yeah, because you can't love somebody for who you know they can be. Like, because that's called, you know, those are hopeless relationships and
a lot of codependency.
lots of codependency. Yeah. So I'm happy to hear you guys are like working through that too, and it's not just well, you know, she's a crazy bitch and I love her, you know.
No, we've definitely
Too many men put up with crazy bitches.
Yeah, that's for sure, and I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, so we're not advocating that. So he loved you through and loves and grows and works on this with you and on himself as well.
Yeah, so right now, thank you.
Here comes the tissues. Thanks. Now we're both all ready.
Yeah. Right now, and I think he would say the exact same thing. Like, I've never known him better, and I've never felt this love for him before. Like, it's that's why that 7-year itch, like, it's like, no, like, we're good.
Yeah. Well, but I'm also a person who believes, too, that, like, when you love somebody and you're both willing to work together, like, that's the best kind of intimate growth is, like, when you love somebody through their traumas, you know, because when somebody's trauma shows itself, I think it's also douchebaggish to turn tail and run. You know what I mean? If you've committed to somebody and they're not harming you, right, then walking with them through it.
He had no idea about any kind of mental health thing before he was with me.
Well, did you? Oh.
I did.
Yeah. So, okay. So, but he had never dealt with somebody who had
never
mental illness. Like,
never.
Is your diagnosis PTSD?
Or
do you have other diagnoses?
I got lots. Ready?
Yeah.
PTSD, OCD, ADHD, depression, and anxiety.
Okay.
Which some are linked to others.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, we can probably top that one off. Like,
yeah. But that's what I've been told. But yeah, he's definitely learned, and he keeps wanting to learn, and he keeps wanting to learn about each other and grow as people, but grow together as well.
Yeah.
You know, you learn how to love your wife. You learn how to love your husband.
Yes.
You learn how to, you know, like, okay, so I do this thing called pinging. That's what my husband called it. It's when I get really bad anxiety and I'm just like, blah, 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 like all over the place. So he just like grabs me and he's like, honey, you're pinging. And then he just hugs me.
And you're like, stop, I need to get these things done.
I need to do these things. And he's like, you just need to sit down and just breathe. Like, knowing somebody like that and having somebody there for you like that, like, that's a whole nother level for me. Like,
that's awesome.
It's just the best. Like, he knows me better than I know me. And I just said that on a podcast.
Oh, that's sweet.
No, now he's going to hold it against me.
What's his name?
Joe.
Joe. We love you, Joe. Thanks for loving Kara through this. And thanks for doing the work yourself, too. Because that's important. I can't wait to see where you guys are in 10 years. How tender and cute.
Old and crabby?
Old and crabby. You will not be old yet, motherfucker. You will still be younger than I am now.
No way!
Yeah. How old do you think I am? Take a step.
Mid-30s?
Oh, I love you. This is why we love her. I'm 41. I'll be 42 next month. I'm getting to that age where I'm like, how old am I? Because you're not counting the same.
Though.
Thank you.
You look great.
Thank you. So, and I'm living my best life for sure.
Good.
Like, I know people say that, but like,
Really,
really,
like doing it?
Yeah, look at my Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm literally living my best life.
I'm gonna add you on Facebook.
Dude! Yeah, well, we're friends now for life. Like,
yeah,
because I found one of my spirit animals, one of my soulmates.
Yep.
Soulmates are not always like relationship types. You find soulmates to your friends too. No! She has a tattoo that says Soul Sisters. I have a tattoo that says Sisters Forever. And that is for my sister. Ah! See,
magic.
This is magic.
Yeah.
This is great. I'm so glad I ended up just being meeting you today too.
I know.
Like, this was perfect.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know we go off track a lot, but it's more important stuff.
Yeah.
So, what does the relationship with Joe look like? How did you start to realize, or what were kind of things were happening where it was like, okay, something is going awry here, and he's not going to be able to continue to put up with this, nor should I be putting him through it. So tell me about what that looked like.
So I've been in therapy since I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Cognitive behavioral therapy. It's just, I learned how to cope, but not to deal.
Yeah.
So
I love this. I have to touch on this as a therapist really quick because I'm a the DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, which is a cognitive behavioral therapy, is my baseline of therapy, and that's me holding the dialectic. So and it does teach you tons and tons of skills. Skills do teach you to manage or to cope. They don't take the wound away, and that's what I love about EMDR, is that it, like, instead of putting a Band-Aid on the wound, it goes in and it heals the wound.
I think Jamie said that our first appointment, she goes, it's like there's a freezer in your brain, all the bad shit. And she's like, what EMDR does is takes it out, we're going to thaw it out, and then we're going to put it where it needs to go.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
It's probably in the trash overall.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So what's going on, like, in your relationship? Because would you say it was your relationship with Joe that finally drove you to seek EMDR, or, well, you just tell me, you were telling me about how you were in therapy all your life.
Okay, so I was in therapy, learning how to cope, but I didn't think it, like, I never really, until I was with Joe, I didn't see how much my shit fucks with other people. And when we moved in together, and he's a video gamer, or computer games, I don't know, I'm sorry.
He's a gamer.
Yeah.
You're a gamer, Joe. I know what you are, my son is too.
Yeah, so he was game all the time, and I would work all the time. Like, I didn't have days off. I was really awful. And then, after we got married, like, we were, I don't know, I know he loved me and I loved him, but it just wasn't what it is now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we got married, you know, everything's fine and dandy, and I got pregnant with our son a month after, and I had hyperemesis during my pregnancies.
What in the hell is that?
It's extreme morning sickness. So,
by
the time
I have very good ones.
12 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks with my first son, I was already down 45 pounds. I had PICC lines, feeding tubes, hospitalized, kidney and organs shutting down. Like, it was.
That's insane.
Awful.
That's way worse than my all-day morning sickness. God damn. So saltines was not helpful.
No, I literally couldn't eat anything.
Oh my god, that's terrible. So
that happened.
So you're starving to death while pregnant.
Yeah, and then we found out that he was deploying. So when I was 6 months pregnant, he deployed.
Your husband's in what branch?
Air Force.
The Air Force. The Air Force requires an intelligence test to get in, and we're gonna have to pause and you guys just stand by. But anyway, we'll get to a good place here. But so he's in the Air Force. Thank you for your service, Joe. Everybody who watches this podcast knows how much I love that. And if my co-host Justin was with me, he's
that was another thing
Navy.
that like made me like you so much more. Is like you're so supportive and you're doing so much for veterans.
Yeah, I love
military.
veterans.
Like hell yeah.
Yeah, I'll cry. Veterans is something I always cry about. I used to take, like, Veterans Day used to be a day that I was like, yes, I'm off work, and now I spend all of Veterans Day like crying because I know if you supported the troops, you bring them home, and I say that all the time. So anyway, don't get me started. See, I get turned up.
You got tissues.
I know. I'm like,
this.
The trauma our vets have to go through and what they have to go with coming home. It's terrible. So anyway, so you are a military wife. He's from the Air Force. He gets deployed to where?
He went to Jordan.
Okay.
He was gone for 7-8 months. We Skyped for the birth.
So he missed the birth, and this was his first child? These are some of the sacrifices, and those are the small ones.
Yeah. But my mom moved in with me while he was gone because I physically couldn't take care of myself. So she moved in with me, and she took me to all my appointments. She was there during the birth for me. She's phenomenal. And then he came home when William was 5 months old. And then we got orders to Texas, and there was some dumb shit, like, we just didn't know how to communicate while he was deployed. So, some shit that he said, and some shit that I said, but we didn't mean it like that, but we were taking it like that. So it was, like, causing fights for no fucking reason.
Oh my gosh,
and
so...
it was just not good
like what you would say, he would translate it different than how you meant it. Yeah, that happens with somebody I know too.
Yeah, so it was just bad. And then when he got home, we got orders to Texas. So, okay, pack your shit, go to Texas. Like, you're a new dad, you're just home from deployment, now we're going to Texas. Then we go to Texas, and that's when shit just gets bad. Like, we were fighting all the time because
Oh wait, don't tell them
Oh.
why yet, because we have to see. We knew that this
Oh
was
yeah,
going
we
to
have
take
to
a
stop.
long time.
Okay, yeah.
So now this episode's going to end with they've gone to Texas.
Yep.
We're going to start the next episode and talk about what that looked like, because now we've got Joe's trauma coming in too. Because I'm not sure how many people come back from deployment without trauma, especially somewhere like the Middle East. You know, the Middle East has a lot of differences from where we are. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, thank you for watching this episode, and we're going to be back. We're going to finish filming so that you guys get 2 episodes to learn about trauma and EMDR. So, want to thank Kara for being on this episode, even though she's not going anywhere yet. And I want to thank all of you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and like our pages on social media, and stay mad, my friends.
Can I play with